Western Cycle spin class with Paul Teichler, professional athlete. Great.
Full-time job as an electrical engineer, and I'm just trying to do the best that I can, and I'm still passionate about it, and actually and enjoying it more as a hobby than it is a profession without some of the pressures of having to make money and racing because I love it again, racing for just to be outside on my bike, have the wind in my ears, and I just haven't had time to get into coaching. I've been toying with the idea, especially now that I'm a little bit sick of work after it's only been 3 years. Maybe I should go back to work in a bike shop and coach and full time again. I still toy with the idea, but I doubt it. I'll probably coach a little bit at some level when I'm training a little bit less, but right now I'm used to training close to 20 hours a week. That's when I perform at my best, and so trying to train 20 hours a week with a full-time job is a challenge already. So I hardly have time to wash my clothes. I did 23 hours last week, which I'm kind of proud of. That's probably my third biggest week ever. The most I've ever trained. I think it's 26 hours, even when I was full-time. So. Yep. Pardon? You're an engineer. And I'm working full-time at 8 to 5.
Do you have kids yet?
I have a dog and a cat. No kids, no. In the house, I shovel the driveway, I do my laundry, and I vacuum, but no kids.
So,
we've trained in Edmonton, right? Did you have to train in warm places?
No, I occasionally went away for races in Australia, maybe, if the season was starting there. I'd go for 6 weeks or so and leave kind of in March.
Bike trainer?
Bike trainer, cross-country skiing, indoor track, yeah. The year of the Olympics is probably the only year I spent significant time away from home, but even then it was 3 weeks at the end of January, I think. Then I came home, and 3 weeks in February, went back to Arizona, I think the second time, for another 3 weeks. It was kind of half at home and half away, but every other year had been, I was either working or in university, so no, I never spent much time away from home. And I think it's good not to. A lot of people I see get really burnt out. And I don't know if they just don't realize it, but the seasons kind of force you to take a rest, which is a good thing. Canadian triathletes do very well, and most of them are home for a good portion of the winter. I think it just holds you back enough that it's good. Most athletes are very inspired, but probably not that smart. And it's hard to realize when you're burning out, especially when it's long and drawn out and you're really burnt out. So a lot of athletes from warm climates or who travel around and can ride outside all year long and train 20 hours a week will never perform because they're always in and glad.
How is the training different from when you were doing ITU to now? Obviously longer distance, but
I haven't changed too much. I swim less, which I really enjoy. I don't like swimming. I'd like it if I swim 3 or 4 times a week, but I used to have to swim 6 times a week, and I hated swimming because of it. I bike a little bit more, and I'm more concerned with running the mileage than the speed. So I used to really focus on doing kilometer repeats, mile repeats at a specific pace. And now I'll just say that I'll still do some kilometer repeats or mile repeats once a week, but I'm more interested in the long run than anything else.
So these short course athletes that have successfully migrated to long course to Ironman seem to do very, very well. Long course going to short course, they don't really seem to do as well. Do you think you have some chance of good success at the Ironman distance?
Yeah, definitely.
Being as
Almost,
you've got your
almost every
background
good
in short
Ironman has
course.
come from short course.
Yeah.
Especially in recent years, I guess. There's still a handful who've always just done Ironman. But if you ever bring it back to the middle distance of a half Ironman, short course athletes will always win,
Yeah.
no matter what. I definitely can do well. I don't know that I'll do well at Hawaii though, without really upping my level of commitment. You know, I'm kind of 80% in the door. I'm still going to race as a professional, but I'm training as an more or less training as an amateur. I think I could win Ironman Canada. I'll probably be the fastest guy there. I just have to figure out the nutrition and the pacing. It's easy to screw up. Really easy to screw up an 8.5-hour race. There's so much that can go wrong. But if I'm smart enough and I play my cards right, I'll definitely be up there. Hawaii it's a different story, the heat, and it's just a more competitive race. You know, there's typical Ironman race might have 5 really good professionals on the men instead of the women's side, but Ironman Hawaii has all of them, all 50 top pros. So I might slot into the top 30 if I had a great day and didn't melt in the heat, but not without putting in more time and having more time to rest.
So would you think that this first Ironman coming up is going to be one where you're learning? Or like, what's your attitude going in? Or are you going in to sort of say, okay, I'm going to try and win this?
No, I'm definitely going to try and win. I won't be going kamikaze off the front though. I think I'll spend the whole race watching what other people are doing. I'll definitely be learning as I go, and just trying to stay within striking distance of the winner. You know, I'm training to do an 8.5-hour Ironman. Some years that wins it. Some years that's 5 minutes too slow. But realistically, that's what I think I can do. And I just want to stay within maybe 5 minutes of the first cyclist to come off the bike.
Your strength is on the run. Is that a fair comment? Or?
Not really. No. My original weakness was running. That's what I spent the most time working on. That's what the ITU really demands. I would say I'm pretty even across the board. If I have a strength at all, it's probably cycling, because it's what I like the best.
So do you favour a hilly course or flat, or what do you
Probably
favour?
just flat and boring.
Hey, welcome to Saskatchewan. Do we have
when I go for a ride, I don't really like hills. I don't get any enjoyment. I don't get any enjoyment out of climbing hills. I just like to go far, and hills just slow you down.
Have you biked the course, like Ironman course?
Most of it, but not all of it. Not all at once. Well, I'm ready for a vacation already from work, so I might take some time off and head out there in about a month.
Which Ironman are you doing, sir?
Ironman Canada.
You are, okay.
That's kind of the original one I've always wanted to do. No, it's not that. It'll probably make for a better race anyway, having a few hills in there. That's the one I wanted to do originally when I was 16, and so that's the one I want to do now.
I think it would be nice to have a Canadian winning it.
There we go.
Especially a prairie boy that likes flat.
Yes, she's a show jumper. I didn't think about that. Which is the horse or the rider. She always tells me both. It's a team. I met her running at university, so she ran cross country and track with me. But she doesn't really like running. She likes racing. She likes training, like doing interval training and stuff. But she never just. It's a nice day. I'm gonna go out for a 45-minute run, just to be outside and enjoy the weather. She gets bored in about 5 minutes. So she rides horses. She does show jumping competitively. We just bought our 4th horse last week.
Too bad for you.
Yeah, she's caught up to my bike count.
So
you get a bike, then if you get another bike, then she gets another horse.
Well, I can't afford another bike because the horse is so expensive.
You don't have to feed a bike.
You don't have to feel like, no.
How do you deal with injuries? When you have an injury, is it hard? Like, what do you do? Like, when they tell you, okay, you need to be back off, rest, you know, like, all of us have a problem with that.
Yeah, no, that's never the answer you want to hear, right?
Yeah.
I typically, pretty often I'll have maybe an injury I've had before, and then I'll know exactly what to do. I kind of remember every injury and how it was treated. And I keep a logbook as well, so a training logbook. And if I get an injury, I'm able to kind of look back and see, so why did this happen? Oh, it's because I ran 40 kilometers one week, 45 the next, and then 85. And that's why my knee's sore. Typically, I often, depending on what the injury is, start with maybe active release if I think it's a tight muscle. But I never go to the same therapist more than 4 times if there's no progression.
Oh, is that?
I'm not a loyal. I am loyal in the sequence usually that I go to therapists, but everyone has an idea, and most therapists are trained on a handful of common injuries. And if you don't have one of those common injuries, often they're not going to get on the right track. And I find if somebody doesn't figure out what's happening in 3 or 4 visits, they're not likely going to figure out what's happening in the next few visits. So then I move on to somebody else, and I just do the circle until I'm cured. And pretty often it's stuff you do on your own. Like I'll go to one therapist, he'll tell me to do this stuff, these exercises and these stretches or whatever, and I do them for a week, and no, that's not what it is. And then I move on. I'll still do the exercises though. I kind of take what I can from each one, and so I pretty often don't really realize, what in the end is what cured me 100%, because I just do everything all at the same time. And rest is kind of an initial reaction, back off at the beginning, but no injury needs to last more than a week, I don't think. So I wait till it gets a little bit serious. And often, you'll have maybe a sore ankle one day. If it's not sore again the next time you run, it's probably different injury. I wait till I have pain kind of in the same location consistently before I say, oh, okay, now this is an injury. Before it's just a niggle or something, it happens all the time. I wait maybe a week for something to settle. Maybe I'll book an appointment as soon as I feel something and cancel it if it goes away. But on the other hand, I'm not great at dealing with injuries. I'm discouraged easily, just like everyone is. It's not easy to do those stupid physio exercises if you don't really believe in them. But yeah, so it's just part of the sport.
Just though and stuff like that?
No, I just don't have the time for it now. I usually stretch a little bit, but most often I'm just diligent to not make big changes with my training, and that's why I keep the training log. I think that's probably the most important thing any athlete can do is to keep a log of, how many hours you spent training, how many miles you run each day, how long you've been wearing this particular pair of shoes, and when you have to throw them away.
Do you ever get in a slump where you just don't want to train?
Oh,
like all of
yeah.
us, that's.
Yeah, every 3 weeks or so.
We're normal.
No, that's normal. Pretty often that's a sign that you're, overdoing it a little bit or under-recovering a little bit. But you're always trying to walk the fine line. You're trying to do as much as you can without overdoing it, right? So very often you just tip over the other side. So I'll back off a little bit, take a break. I usually don't schedule a day off. And so when I have something come up, that's the workout I skip. Or when I feel really terrible, that's the workout I back off on.
Do you have like an easy, 3 weeks hard on the easy kind of thing?
Often I just now that I'm working full time, I'll let life schedule that for me as well. This year I've had to go out of town for work every 4 weeks or so. So I've kind of had 3 weeks at home, go out of town for 4 or 5 days, get in a slump for another 4 or 5, and then pick back up again. So I've had kind of my natural cycle determined by my work schedule. And I'm just training as much as I can on that side. And it works out pretty nicely because I'm going out of town regularly.
Do you have a coach now?
Yeah, I'm working with my cycling coach with the ERTC, Corey Jorgens. And he's, you know, a guy for me to bounce ideas off of. Somebody I can ask questions to. I wouldn't really want to do it all on my own, but I don't take a lot. I don't like a lot of coaching feedback either. I've spent probably enough of my life on a rigid schedule, and I find it's a little easier now, a little more productive when I can be flexible, and it's easier to make those adjustments yourself rather than having to pick up the phone every time something comes up and say, I'm only going to be able to do half this workout today. What should I do to compensate? It's just a change for me. Periods of my life I really like a lot of structure, and periods of life when I don't like a lot of structure. And so the last couple of years I just haven't liked a lot of structure. So I find a good kind of 7-day cycle more or less that I stick with and adjust slightly over the year. And that's probably the basic training, is figuring out what your best microcycle is, what your Monday to Sunday looks like, and how you can fit the most training into those days. If you have a good microcycle, you can. That's the hardest thing to personalize at a job. Everybody else can do more base in the spring and more speed work later in the year, but microcycle is tough to figure out, and that's personal, and that's what a lot of coaches that I've worked with have been in other cities, and they don't understand the Canadian winter. He's a coach in Victoria, doesn't know what snow looks like. They'll give you a workout transition. Pretty often they have swim to bike transition on the workout. I can't bring my bike to the pool. They won't let me ride on the pool then. Another workout. I told you I can't do this one. Why is it still on my schedule? Oh, you need to figure out a way to do this. I can't. No, I'm not going to ride outside or on the roof of my car or something. I like the situation I have now, and I've had great coaches along the way as well. Probably my favorite of all time was Joel Filial, a really good coach.
You've done some road racing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you typically ride with the cycling club?
Yeah, I've been with the ERTC for 13 years now, I guess. Not that long. Probably 12 years. And I like it now because you can get out and start racing. You don't have to wait for the lakes to thaw. So I'm going to do a road race next weekend already. And it's just, I don't know, a nice variety again. I'll do group, maybe half of my training in a group and half of it kind of on my own when it's easier to schedule. But yeah, road racing is, if you have a road bike or a second bike aside from your trial bike, it's a really nice way to extend the racing calendar.
Do you find it has helped your cycling?
Definitely, yeah. There's probably not too many triathletes who get complimented on their riding by road cyclists, or how good you are at cornering and stuff like that. And that's not something you're going to learn riding on your own in a time trial bike. It's pretty neat to go out and beat the roadies at their own game. I'm sure everyone has seen a little bit of the stigma maybe that exists between roadies and triathletes, and it's nice to be able to hand their asses to them.
We have a good relationship with the RCC here, which is the Regina Cycling Club.
Yeah.
And over the last 3 years, I've tried to encourage as many members of the RMC, of the Multisport Club, to get out and ride with the roadies, because nothing ups your game faster. And it's also fun.
Yeah.
Because when you get down on the tri-bike, you get down to your aero bars and you're putting your 40k or your 80k or whatever the hell it is you're doing. You're like, bleh. You get on a road bike and you're playing with people who are pissing around doing breaks, and it makes a fun, hard workout, and you don't realise how hard you've worked until after you've come across the line and you're just gasping for oxygen.
I started riding when I was 15 with the Edmonton Masters Cycling Club too. My neighbor who got me into triathlon brought me out with him. And I'm not allowed to be there because I'm not 30. But they put up with me as long as I was really well behaved. And, I rode a perfect pace line, and I didn't win any of the sprints. And You don't touch your brakes, so you know they're very, very picky. A lot of you know Europeans used to riding, you know, perfectly in a group, and it's safer that way. So you know, I had good skills drilled into me from the time I was 15, and it's done well. You know, a lot of athletes I know crash a lot. You know, break wrists, and a lot of that's preventable. And I think road racing is a pretty good way to do that. You know, in IT racing, it's a lot of the same athletes crashing, race after race, or year after year after year, and it's not necessary. You know, we don't ride the corners that hard that we're really pushing the limit. Crashing, a lot of it's bad luck, but a lot of it's avoidable skill and where you position yourself in the group. And so wait for me to not run, but I haven't crashed in 5 or 6 years. You know, I've been in some pretty hairy races, and I still don't go down. And a lot of that's, you know, the experience that goes along from a lot of group riding and having good bike handling skills.
So say if like the bike and the triathlon thing didn't work out, would cycling be another option for you?
Not at a high level, I don't think. I almost wish I would have when I was younger. I always thought I was too heavy. I started triathlon when I was 185 pounds. And cycling is really all about power to weight ratio. I thought, you know, if I'm going to be a professional cyclist, I'm going to have to weigh 155 pounds, 160 pounds. There's just no way I'll ever lose that much weight. I thought I was already kind of skinny. And now, 10 years later, I've been 162 pounds, including swimming muscle. I thought I probably could have done it. But no, I think it's a little bit late for me now, I guess. You know, to get selected to teams, they're looking for riders who are in their early 20s or late teens already, not a 28-year-old. So. And I also don't want to. I don't want to be away from home that much. You know, the life of a professional athlete is a life on the road, and I would miss my dog too much.
Okay, guys, we'll wrap it up, I think. You kept the guy on the ground for a long time here. I'm surprised you haven't squirmed a bit more. I think on behalf of the Regina Mulitsport Club and Western, thank you. We really appreciate it.